As the new European Managing Director for BSR, I'm heading out the BSR European office based in Paris. I am delighted to begin this opportunity to introduce our next plenary speaker, Mr. Anders Dalvik, CEO and President of IKEA. There's been a lot of talk about precedents and change these days. I think it's fair to say that under the presidency of Anders Dalvik at IKEA, IKEA has experienced significant change and growth over the years. And also, paraphrasing a comment made by John Anderson, it has taken place at a time where IKEA really has walked the talk when it comes to sustainability. And I think to an extent where many of us look to IKEA as a leader when it comes to issues such as not often spoke about issues, but like packaging, toxic substances in products, and of course, sustainable supply chain management. I had the opportunity to listen to Anders Dalvik a couple of years ago at a small session where about 25, 30 CEOs, Nordic CEOs were present. I think they were all expecting a speech that would tell about all the fantastic achievements of IKEA. And actually, I think everyone was impressed by Anders' first comment, which was really about some of the disappointments that IKEA had had. And I think that's testimony also to the culture and the spirit of IKEA to be very transparent, very open about the achievements, but also about the disappointments. So before I will give the word on to Anders, I would just like to say that after the presentation here, there is a reception in the exhibit hall. It's sponsored by IKEA, and it's celebrating also the 60th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So with these words, Anders, please take the floor.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to be here. I think in these times, my first question would be, how many of you have been to our stores over the last few weeks? I thought before I start talking about our sustainability approach, I thought I'd take the opportunity to say a few words about IKEA, because I'm not sure how well you know us. Maybe as customers, I would hope, but maybe apart from that, less so, as we are not a public company. So a few facts first at a glance. Our total turnover our last financial year was 21 billion euro, and we have 250 stores, a little bit more than 250 stores in 24 countries. And as you can see, Europe is our home market and our base. It's about 80% of our total turnover today. North America is 15% around, and then we have 3-4% in Asia Pacific. Sales, US is our second biggest sales market today with about 10%, and we have actually grown fairly substantial in the US over the last few years, from 15 stores to 35 stores, and we are, I think, the second biggest home furnishing company in this country today. Germany is another big country. Sweden actually only 6% of our sales. So of course, as a global company, only 6% is coming from our home market. We are also buying, and we are buying our products in many countries, and not surprisingly, I guess, 21% is coming from China. Poland is a big market for us, especially for furniture products, as is Italy and Sweden and Germany. As you can see, we have a very small part of our purchases are coming from North America, only 3%. And I will talk a little bit more about these things as we go on. Around 130,000 co-workers in 39 countries. And as you can see here, most of them in the retail business, almost 100,000 of our co-workers are working in our stores. And the rest are spread into our purchasing operations and some other parts. So, moving on to the subject of today, the sustainability approach. Preparing for today's speech, I started to reflect back on the journey that I have experienced being part of developing our agenda at IKEA over the last 10 years, which is also my time as the CEO of this company. And one obvious conclusion, of course, is that there is still an enormous amount of things we need to do, and that there are many disappointments as to how fast we have moved in different areas. However, another conclusion is that we have also seen tremendous development in these years. Not only actual results of our work, but more importantly, I think the change in attitude towards sustainability work within our company and also in the world at large. Only 10 years ago, we didn't really have any comprehensive plan for how to approach sustainability. The questions we then first needed to agree on and find a common ground internally was a very basic one. A question I guess almost no company is debating anymore. Is environmental and social work good or bad for business? Back then the answer to that question wasn't as evident as it may seem today. There were many different views. Was there really any negative impact on the world we live in? Was this really the responsibility of business, or rather one of government? Do our customers and co-workers really care? What right do we have to put demands on our suppliers? Will the cost endanger our profitability and ultimately our survival as a company? And are the owners prepared to pay the bill? Now, most of these questions are behind us today, both within IKEA and I believe also in other companies. And the question that remains today, of course, is how fast should a company like IKEA move towards sustainability? Today I will try to give you my view on this in describing IKEA's sustainability work. Our current social and environmental strategy covers 4 specific areas: products and materials, suppliers, climate change, and community involvement. And I'd like to talk to you about the first 3 of these today. It is interesting to note how the focus has changed over the years. When setting our environmental priorities back in 1999, we put a lot of focus on the working conditions at our suppliers, particularly in developing countries. And we also put a lot of focus on forestry issues. This was very much a reflection of the debate in the society at the time. Many of the most active NGOs, as well as media, were very engaged in issues like child labor and deforestation. Also, IKEA was attacked or criticized for lack of actions in these areas. So, of course, we saw a need to prioritize these areas in our work. Today, we feel we have taken some steps in these areas for which we are also recognized. This in combination with a shift in focus in society towards issues like the use of raw materials and climate change has also influenced the change in our focus. It's not on. I'm sorry, it must be something else. It's your phone. Yeah. The first priority in our strategy, products and materials, consists of 2 main areas: to provide healthy and safe products and to minimize the use of raw material in the production. IKEA wants to minimize or totally refrain from the use of chemicals and substances that can be harmful to people and the environment by choosing better alternatives wherever possible. New materials are subjected to extensive risk analysis and tests before being used in a product, and the product itself is tested continuously. External laboratories and institutes complement the work done in our own test lab. The IKEA range complies with the strictest applicable laws and safety standards, and we have detailed regulations on the use of chemicals and other substances in the manufacturing process. If one country tightens its rule, we introduce these new regulations on all IKEA markets whenever possible.